Five arrested in connection with Tiananmen car crash. Locally, a kidnap case involving Indian businessmen. And dramatic videos taken amid a fierce storm in Europe.
Good evening. Police in Beijing are calling Monday's deadly Tiananmen car crash a violent terrorist attack. 5 people have been arrested in connection with the attack. Police say Usman Hassan, his wife, and his mother were all in the Jeep that plowed through a crowd of people before crashing into a bridge. The names indicate they are members of the Turkic Muslim Uyghur ethnic group from the Xinjiang region. 2 bystanders were killed in the crash. Police said knives, iron rods, gasoline, and a flag imprinted with religious slogans were found in the vehicle. A statement on the Beijing police microblog labeled the crash a carefully planned, organized, and premeditated terrorist attack. Security remains tight around the site. Riot police vehicles are parked at several locations nearby, including Zhongnanhai, the government compound that houses China's top leaders.
In other news, police have arrested 3 South Asian men in connection with a kidnap and robbery case. A 4th suspect was arrested in India. Their victims were 3 businessmen who traveled to Hong Kong from India. All of them have now been freed. Joel De Silva reports.
The victims of the kidnap, according to the Hindustan Times, were Manmohan Singh, a leader of the Sikhism-centric political party, his supporter, and a bank manager. The suspected mastermind of the kidnapping gang has been identified as Simranjit Singh. He allegedly phoned Manmohan from Hong Kong to tell him that a Hong Kong company was interested in buying a piece of his land in Ludhiana, in the Indian state of Punjab, and that he should come to Hong Kong to sign the deal. They arrived in Hong Kong last Wednesday and, according to sources, were held in a village house in Sheungshui. Simranjit allegedly told them that they had to pay the equivalent of 19 million Hong Kong dollars in ransom if they wanted to return home. One of the kidnappers called Manmohan's family in India, telling them to get the money ready so that it could be collected in the city of Khana, also in Punjab. The family paid part of the sum and then called the police. Indian police then instructed the family to arrange to meet Simranjit at a specific location to hand over the rest of the ransom, where a suspect was arrested. Detectives of the New Territories North Regional Crime Unit are now in charge of the investigation into this rare kidnapping case, which has resulted in arrests in both Hong Kong and India. Hong Kong police found the kidnapped victims at the airport last Wednesday. They suffered minor injuries and have been treated and discharged from hospital. Their watches and mobile phones had been taken. Hong Kong police arrested 3 other suspects in connection with the case, one in Tin Shui Wai last Wednesday, the second in Kwai Chung yesterday, and the third in the Northern New Territories yesterday evening. All 3 are of South Asian origin. Joel De Silva, TVB News.
The outrage continues over reports that the United States spied on foreign leaders, diplomats, and citizens of its closest allies. While testifying on Capitol Hill yesterday, U.S. intelligence officials not only refused to apologize, they defended their actions by saying everyone spies. Intelligence chiefs came under a barrage of fire right before addressing allegations of rampant eavesdropping.
The Europeans don't want us spying on them. Neither do we want you spying on us.
Some protesters had to be escorted out in order to hear the National Security Agency deny it collected phone records from European citizens.
Those screenshots that show, or at least lead people to believe that we, NSA, or the United States, collected that information is false. And it's false that it was collected on European citizens.
James Clapper, the director of national intelligence, had no intention of apologizing for what he insists is legal intelligence gathering that every country does.
Do you believe that the Allies have conducted or at any time any type of espionage activity against the United States of America, our intelligence services, our leaders, or otherwise?
Absolutely.
Legal or not, leaks by former NSA analyst Edward Snowden have forced the White House to reconsider its spying tactics.
Examining whether we have the appropriate posture when it comes to heads of state. Examining how we coordinate with our closest allies and partners.
At the House of Commons in London, Britain's Prime Minister warned the media to expect injunctions should they try publishing leaks that risk any country's security.
But if they don't demonstrate some social responsibility, it'll be very difficult for government to stand back and not to act.
Neither do we want you spying on us.
At a meeting in Slovakia, French President François Hollande said the European Council is working with Washington to fix what he called unacceptable eavesdropping.
The deadly storm that has menaced Western Europe is continuing on its destructive path as it tracks across northern Europe and parts of Russia. But St. Jude, as the storm is being called, is leaving behind more than devastation. It's also leaving some dramatic video. James Aiken has more.
Forecasters knew the storm that began to pound Britain on Sunday would be intense, but no one was expecting so much spectacle. Like this scene in Portugal, where St. Jude fanned up some awesome waves. For any surfer, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, impossible to resist. And Brazilian Carlos Burley knew this was his ticket to ride. Carlos is waiting to hear if he broke a record for the highest wave ever surfed. But there's more. On the same day, Carlos saved the life of his friend, Maya Guevara. The 26-year-old had attempted riding an incredible 30-meter wave. Maya had to be pulled to safety by Carlos, who arrived on a jet ski. She was resuscitated on the beach and taken to hospital. Maya has a broken ankle, but otherwise she's going to be okay. Over in the Netherlands, amateur video captured the moment a tree fell over. Unfortunately, a cyclist was under it at the time. The very lucky person on the bike is said to be okay. And St. Jude is still tearing across the continent. After blowing over thousands of trees and causing billions of dollars in damage, the superstorm is now menacing northern Europe and northwestern Russia. High winds continue to disrupt transportation and cut power. One region of Russia has declared a state of emergency. A final list of casualties is yet to be confirmed. Forecasters expect the storm to continue its rampage well into Thursday. James Aiken, TVB News.
A group of South Korean lawmakers crossed the border separating the two Koreas today to make an on-site inspection of the Kaesong Industrial Park. The visit marked the first time that lawmakers from the South were allowed to visit the jointly run factory. A total of 47 South Korean politicians crossed the border into North Korea this morning. Lawmakers got to inspect certain factories that make clothes, shoes, and parts for mobile phones. In April, Pyongyang pulled its 53,000 workers out of the park at the height of nuclear tensions between the two sides. Analysts say Pyongyang's approval of the visit shows its desire to develop lucrative cross-border projects. Since 2004, Kaesong has generated about $90 million annually in wages paid directly to the north. Russia has marked the 100th day countdown to the Sochi 2014 Winter Olympics. But as Alan Bookney reports, the illegal dumping of waste just north of the resort city on the Black Sea coast could threaten the Olympic host city's water supply.
Hundreds of volunteers in Sochi's Olympic Park gathered to form the number 100, one of various events held across Russia. The country is spending more than $50 billion on the February Games, a top priority for Russian President Vladimir Putin, who wants to use the event to showcase his country's modern face 2 decades after the fall of the Soviet Union. Putin was in Sochi Monday to inaugurate the train station that will serve as the Olympic Games hub. But building the station and the rail and road links could come at more than just the $8.5 billion construction costs. Just north of Sochi, trucks were filmed dumping construction waste from the project and other rubbish, including spray cans, tires, and foam sheets in an illegal landfill site that had been a limestone quarry. It clearly runs against Russia's zero waste pledge for the Olympics. Residents in the area say they've been complaining to authorities about the dumping for months. They're also concerned about the possible contamination of the water that supplies Sochi. Russian Railways was fined $3,000 in August by environmental protection authorities for illegal dumping, but the landfill wasn't ordered closed. Russian Railways blamed the dumping on a subcontractor. Officials told residents earlier this month the situation was being cleaned up, but the dumping continues. Russia's deputy prime minister in charge of preparations for the Games has persistently dismissed claims that Sochi is falling short of its green commitments. Dmitry Kozak did admit there were certain violations, but denied rubbish is still being dumped in illegal landfills. Alan Buknia, TVB News.
And still to come in our newscast. Government urged to set a ceiling for MPF charges. Romanians arrested here for using fake ATM cards. And giant mirrors brighten up a Norwegian town.